I am not ready for this. Okay. Yo, sorry. Oh my goodness. Hello, hello. Welcome back. Sorry I missed you guys last week. Um, I was actually on vacation with my family. So I apologize. And I did bring my microphone and um I thought about doing the show, but I have decided that I'm going to make it a focus to focus on my family and try to be present as much as I can with the job that I have. Um, Obviously, I still have to, work all the time. And so it looks like I'm just playing on my phone all the time. Um, so that's bad enough. So I'm trying to be more present when I'm spending time with the family. So I do apologize for not being here last week, but I'm sure you guys understand. It's uh it's just something I've really been trying to work on because it is super important. And I've been thinking about it a lot. Like Ryan's 19 and my younger two are going to be 10 and 12 in like 2 months. So it's not going to be long before they're 18, and I don't have a lot of summers left, and we don't go on vacation all the time. So I'm trying to being the key words, be more present when I'm with the kids. Hello, Ashley. I miss you so much. I hope you're doing good. We should definitely chat on or off the show. Um, Wolliver, are you hiding? Wolliver is here as well. But yeah, so thank you guys for joining me. Sorry for the late start. I didn't even make the show until like 5 minutes before, but better late than never. Um, that is another thing that I've been trying to work on, which is obviously not helping. I'm a huge procrastinator, and honestly, I blame it on the fact that like I work well under pressure. And so, in school, I never, ever, ever did anything. Like if I had a paper that was due in 3 weeks, I did it like the night before. And, back before Google Docs and all of that stuff, we used to have to like handwrite a rough draft, and then we'd have to like do some edits and then do like a whatever it was called. But you're supposed to do like 4 separate ones. And I would always just wait until the night before, write my final paper, and then purposely go back and spell things wrong and rewrite it. So I would do it backwards. So I was just always good at procrastinating. I don't know if it's I don't know, whatever that thing's called where you like can't start projects, but I don't know if it's that, but I just can't unless there's like an immediate need to do something. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to find something else that I want to work on instead. But um so I apologize, but then I realized that it makes it so that you guys don't even see that I'm planning on going live. So I am going to consciously try to do that earlier in the day. Maybe Williver can help me with that. Because I need a manager. I This is the first time I've done a show on my own, and I'm gonna be honest, Goose does pretty much everything else for our show, so I never have to set anything up. It's always just there and ready for me. Um, so I will work on that as well. But I hope that you guys are doing fantastic. It's super hot and crazy storms here in Ohio, not necessarily by me, but um I hope you guys are enjoying your summer. Like it's almost over. The kids go back to school in like 3 weeks. I'm not ready. um I have I have honestly been really, really debating homeschooling my kids. And you guys probably will think that I'm crazy for saying that because I know you've heard me say that that time during COVID where I had to homeschool with my kids was like like the worst part of my life. Um, that was very hard on us. But that was like virtual learning through the school system, and that was very, very different than homeschooling. Um, and it's kind of something I've just been throwing around lately. So if you homeschool your kids or you know anyone that does, let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. Um, I just I just have been really, really thinking about the way that the school systems work lately. Um, and I had a long talk with our friends that we stayed at the lake house with this week, and I just I don't know that it's working. I think that it's really good for younger kids who need like the socialization part of it. Um, but I don't know. I feel like my kids stress so much about tests and, like the state testing and all of that. And at the same time, I was telling my son that his birthday is coming up in a couple of months. And he was like, "How many?" And I was like, "Well, it's June now. So count them." And he was like, "What's next? October?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You don't know the months of the year?" Um, so that's obviously a problem. I mean, and he's getting good grades in school. He's getting great grades. He never has problems with his teachers. Um, I just think that the focus is really wrong. Um, I don't necessarily want my kids to be straight A students. I want them to learn how to think for themselves, and I want them to learn how to care about their fellow classmates, and I want them to learn how to be good people, and I want them to learn how to be good adults. Just to be adults, there's those are all things that they don't teach you in school anymore. And I just think that if we could do our homeschooling curriculum for a couple of hours and then focus on life skills, um, I think that that might end up being a better option. But it's obviously a huge, huge commitment and change and everything. So definitely could use help with that. If anybody has done homeschooling or knows somebody who does or just has any tips. But anyways, I was not planning on talking about that today. Um, I was just looking around and there's like, back to school. There's a back to school thing over here, and it reminded me. Then we only have like 2 or 3 weeks left. My kids go back in the middle of August, which is nuts. But yeah, I feel like the summer just like went by so fast. We did take a couple of little trips, um, which I was talking somebody posted on Facebook today. I think it was Jen. Um, posted something about like, you know, take time to make memories. And I'm really trying to focus on that because at the end of the day, my kids, when they get older and they are sitting around and they're talking about their childhood, they're not going to talk about, oh, mom sold so many houses or mom made so much money or, whatever. They're not going to care about that stuff. They're going to care about the experiences that they had. And hello, Eddie Pence. And, it's the same thing for me too. And all adults, it's not just kids, but obviously I just focus on my kids all the time. But it's so important because you're not going to remember any of that stuff. And at the end of the day, your job will just replace you if something happens to you or if you leave or whatever. But you are the only thing that your kids have. And even for us just individually, not as parents, it's so important to just take some time to make some memories and let your brain recharge, especially now because things are so hectic and so crazy and people are just fighting to survive. Um, everything's so expensive and everybody's so stressed and everybody's so angry all the time and it's hard and you need that time for yourself to just reset. And it doesn't have to be anything super expensive. Like this week we did spend money. We went and rented a lake house with some friends, but we split the cost 3 ways. You know what I mean? Because there was 3 families and it wasn't terrible, honestly. It was super cheap. But there's also like when we went camping, that was like $15 a night. And you could have up to 8 people. So have 2 families go together or, get a bunch of friends together. I'm pretty sure you could all split $15. um, but or just go find somebody who lives out of state or somebody who lives out of town and just go ask them if you could crash on their couch for a couple of nights. Just something to have a change of scenery because the monotony of the way that people are living right now is no bueno. No bueno. Is not good for your mental health at all. Um, it just festers anxiety and depression. That's just a breeding ground for it. If you're constantly just go to work, come home, go to sleep, wake up, do it all over again, and you're not living, then it's not gonna end well. So try to make sure, even if you just like go for a walk on your lunch break or stop at a park on your way home from work and just do one lap around the trails or you know what I mean? Just something. A lot of towns, like I know Madison and Geneva have it. A lot of the smaller towns have like free concerts in the park. Actually, the city of Menor has a huge concert series, which is like big, big musicians and stuff. And I want to say that that's free too. Um, that's a little too peoply for me. There's too many people there, but that might be your scene. That's fine. But that's free, and it's just something to remind yourself why you're here. You know what I mean? Not everything's about work and sleeping and whatever. So I'm trying to do that. Um, Ashley says, as a teacher myself, I'm not sending my child into a system as it stands now, especially with him being special needs. Regular staffing is at an all-time low. Special needs staff is basically non-existent, so ratios aren't met at all. The teachers themselves have basically all given up. We do not get paid enough to be teachers, counselors, bodyguards, nurses, and a billion other things. And we have zero money going into our classrooms. You would be making an incredibly smart choice. Um, I can definitely see that. I know that a lot of school systems around here got rid of their school nurses, which is just bonkers to me. They just have like somebody who's there. And then, like, if they have questions, they will call a nurse. There's like an on call nurse all the time, but there's not nurses in the schools anymore. Hey, Holly. Um, and yeah, I do not envy teachers right now. It's so hard. And I try to, I have a lot of people in my life that are teachers and obviously my kids' teachers as well, but I try to like help them out whenever I can. Everett's favorite teacher ever, she was my favorite teacher too. Mrs. Lawson, sorry. She actually had Everett for 2 years in a row and she was so good with him and I talked to her every day. We would text each other and we actually are friends on Facebook. And she posted that she was looking for stuff for her treasure chest because she's a kindergarten teacher. And I went to Amazon and bought her all kinds of stuff and she was super thankful. But it wasn't a big deal for me to do it, but it meant a lot to her Because if you have, if I spend $20, then that's not a huge deal. But if she has 5 people in the classroom do that, then she's getting, like, everything that she needs, and that's $100 that she doesn't have to spend. Because let's be honest, she shouldn't have to spend that money. Um, do the kids need a treasure chest? Is that a necessity? No, but she also shouldn't have to pay for it. Um, I hate that the teachers have to do so much, and they are asked so much. There's so much asked of them, I mean. Um, it's it's not something that I envy. It's not a career that I would ever wanna do right now with the way that things are. Um, and that shows, and that's terrible. And I don't blame them because they are people at the end of the day, right? And, people will sit there and go, "Oh, if you don't wanna teach, then don't be a teacher." They do wanna teach. They do wanna teach. They want to teach the kids, and they want to be part, like, this huge part of their lives, and that's what they love. But there's a lot of things that go along with that, and there's a lot of, like, angry parents and budget cuts and planning and all this other stuff that goes into it. They want to teach, they want to do that, but that's not what they get to do. um so I I definitely don't envy them at all. But the point is that they are human beings, and that does start to show. And, their enthusiasm goes down the drain, as it should. I'm not saying anything bad about teachers. They're human beings, and they're going through a lot of shit at their jobs. So, of course, they're not going to love their jobs. They're still going to love your children, and they're still going to do as much as they can. But also, their grocery bills are going up too. Their gas bills are going up too. Their rent's going up too. So it's not that they are choosing to do less, but they have no choice. They have to because of the way things are. Um, Ashley says, "Yep, it comes out of our pocket, even classroom necessities that we're supposed to get reimbursed for, but never see even 15% of that money spent. That's ridiculous." She said, "I'd say over 80% of the teachers I know have second jobs just to make ends meet." And that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, I know a ton of people have second jobs right now, but they shouldn't have to have second jobs just so that they could buy things for the classroom that they need. Like, they shouldn't be buying printer paper and things like that. Holly says, "I love the kids, but parents stink," trying to be nice. I I just talked to someone, which actually is not associated with me, so I'm gonna talk about her because nobody will know who she is because, if we're being honest, I don't even remember her name. But anyways, I met her somewhere, and she was telling me that she's, like, a behavioral counselor, and so it's basically, like, her job to go into a classroom and, assess a child and how they're interacting with other children, how they're interacting with the teacher, what the teacher could be doing more of or less of or whatever. Just like assessments. And she travels to all these different schools and she does this and she has to deal with the parents. I cannot even imagine dealing with parents. I I'm going to try to be nice too, Holly. Um I feel like people forgot how to tell their kids no. Um People forgot how to, like, I don't I like accountability is not a thing anymore. Um, they just, like, it's a joke. Every time something happens, everybody goes, "Not my baby." Okay, we need to get rid of that. Um, we really need to get rid of that. People people are so quick to, like, blame the teacher, like, "Oh, my kid would never do that." What? Kids are jerks sometimes. They all are. It's part of growing up and learning. Holly said, "Oh my god, the parents just need to grow up and be parents." Yeah, stop trying to be your kid's friend. She was just typing that, "Not my kid." Um, yeah, I mean, love my children. I have an amazing relationship with them. Ryan's even 19 and still comes to me and talks to me, and we have a friendly relationship, but I've made it very clear that we are not friends. We are not friends. Maybe when you're an adult and you have kids of your own and you want to go out for drinks or you want to go to dinner or whatever, then we could do like friendly things. But my job is to be your parent. And sometimes that means that you're not going to like me. And I'm 100% okay with that because it's not my job to get you to like me, right? It's my job to mold you into a functioning member of society and someone who can take care of themselves. I think that these parents do these children a disservice by babying them. Um, you know, Ryan was like 15 or 16 and he actually thanked me for making him do chores because he was like, none of my friends even know how to turn on the vacuum. They don't know how to do their own laundry. Like, you're not helping your kid by letting them just sit there and play video games all day. Um, Granted, my younger two definitely have less chores than Ryan. I will say that in case Ryan ever watches the show. I don't want him to be like, you don't even make them do anything. Ryan definitely had a daily chore list. And the other kids don't, but they know how to do everything. And if I need something, I ask them to do it. They do something every day. It's just not as strict as his was. But they know how to do things. And that's important. That's your job, is to teach them how to do things. I will have the kids help me make dinner. Um, and like my older one, my middle one, he will be 12 soon. And instead of like me doing most of the cooking, I will have him help me, but then I will have him do most of it. And there's things that he can cook on his own. And that's what you're supposed to do. If I'm sitting here just never making them do anything, then they're not going to learn how to do anything. And then what happens? How are they going to go out into the world and take care of themselves if they don't even know how to cook or clean or, do laundry, nothing? Um, and then the other thing too is like, don't sit there and say, "Oh, not my baby. Oh, my baby would never do that." Listen, I have also told my children, if you do something wrong in school, do not expect me to go up to your school and to fight for you and to try to get you out of trouble. If you did something wrong, you're going to take the punishment. That's the way it goes. If you didn't do something wrong, then absolutely I will fight for you. I will fight for you harder than anyone will fight for you. But I'm not going to do it just because you don't want to get in trouble. Um, Holly said, "Oh my God, my kids don't like me right now. Don't get me wrong. They love me, but they don't like me." Thank you. That's such a big difference. I don't need my kids to like me. I need them to love me, respect me, and learn from me. That's my job, not like to be their best friend and to be that cool mom that like lets her kids have their friends over and get drunk at 15 years old. No, that's not going to be me. Sorry. It's not. Um, Holly's kids know how to cook, clean, and wash their own clothes. She taught them since they were 5. Yep, absolutely. There's a lot of chores that kids can do at a young age, and maybe and and when they're like 5, they weirdly like doing the laundry, which is super cool because they're also tiny, so it's easier for them to get the clothes out of the washer and put them into the dryer. Um, But, like, my kids take care of the chickens every day. I go out there maybe 10% of the time, but they do most of the work. Ryan did it before, and now the younger 2 do it. Um, there's a lot of chores that kids can do, and even if it's something silly that doesn't seem like it's actually helping anything, at least they're learning about responsibility, and they're learning about, like, the good feeling that you get when you finish something and when you do something, like that instant gratification, like I did that. So, like, when the kids were super little, when they were like toddlers, when I would get home from putting away or getting groceries, I would put away the groceries and I would always throw all the bags on the floor. Just as I was emptying them, just in a frenzy, throw all the bags on the floor. And then I would make it their job to pick all of them up, because then they thought they were helping with the groceries, and then they felt like they were important. They had a job to do, and it was a very important job. Those bags had to be picked up. And it was something that looked like a lot because there was bags all over the floor, and then all of a sudden they made it look good. Um so it doesn't have to be, you don't have to have your kids do the dishes at 2 years old, but they can pick up the bags when you go grocery shopping, or they can pick up the dirty clothes off the floor and put them into the basket. Maybe they can't carry the basket down and wash the clothes, but do, age appropriate things. Um, Holly said, and it's my job to embarrass them from time to time. I don't, I don't know if it's just because I've raised really weird children, and I mean weird in the best way. That's a compliment in our house, if you don't know that. Um, but my kids, like, generally don't get embarrassed. Like, Ryan was in middle school and he had this paper. Oh my gosh, it was a paper. It was like a permission slip for him to be tested to see if he was gifted. Okay, so this was a big deal. And when I filled out the paper, it said, signature, print name, and then it said relationship to child. And I said, I'm gonna write mommy on here. I was like, I'm just gonna write mommy. And he was like, do it. So I did. And he was never embarrassed. So it makes it hard when, you know, like when you drop them off at school and you're like, bye, have a good day. I love you so much. And then they're just like, bye, have a good day. I love you too. Um, when you raise kids who are like equally as weird as you are, then they just like don't even think anything of it. And I love it. I do. Um, Ryan's 19 and he still will walk up to me and like hug me, even if his friends are there, whatever. It makes me so happy. And I do not have the courage to do anything like super embarrassing. Like, I'm not going to go out and dance or like whatever. So that you see some of these TikToks of these super self-confident parents doing. I do not. I would be embarrassed if I did any of those things. Um, but I do think it's absolutely your right to embarrass your children. That's part of our job. Holly said, yeah, they don't get embarrassed easily, but from time to time, my weird self comes out. My kids still hug and kiss me in public. I love that so much. I do. I do. It just makes me happy because, you know, it's nice that they don't care that their friends are watching or whatever. Um, and it's nice that they show you that they don't hate you, which, especially when they get older, is a huge feat for them to not just not hate you, but to actually like you enough to walk up to you in public. It's just nice. It's a good feeling. And it makes you feel like you're doing something right, you know? Um, One of my biggest fears is like not talking to my kids when they get older. I told Ryan when he moves out, I want him to come over like once a week. And I said, I don't care if you like come over with grocery bags and go through my pantry and take stuff that you need, or if you call me, once a week and say, hey, can you make lasagna tomorrow? I will. I 100% will. Just come back. Um, just come over, please. If you want to do laundry at my house, that's fine. Come hang out for 2 hours while we do laundry. That's fine. Um, because I don't know if I could handle that. But Holly says my TikToks embarrass them. Holly, you make embarrassing TikToks? I don't even know if I follow you on TikTok. I don't really follow people that I know on TikTok, honestly. Um, I'll have to look for them though. Holly says, I'm very open with my kids and have others judge me for it, but I would rather my kids learn from me than their friends. Oh my gosh. I want to tell you a story so bad, but I don't know what I'm allowed to say. What I'm allowed to say on here and what I'm not. We don't have like a whatever, a beep to do it. But when I was younger, and I was probably like in 4th or 5th grade because I was in the magnet program. So 4th or 5th grade. And my friends were telling me that the swimmers that come from men were purple and that they like stained, like it was like a paint and that it would stain you. And so I believed that. I was little. Um, but apparently one of them had like seen a video and it must have been like under a microscope or something and it looked like it was purple. And so that's what they told me it was. So I just thought I knew what it was. And I actually talked to my mom about it. And she told me everything. And she told me the truth. And she didn't sugarcoat anything. And she told me that she had already had her period like for a year. And her mom, my grandma, had never talked to her about it. She never told her anything about it, what to expect, what to do, nothing. Um, they just had, my mom had 5 sisters and then my grandma. And so they just always had like, feminine products in the house. So my grandma didn't like really notice. It's not like my mom had to go ask for them, but she had gone a long time without anyone like telling her about it. And so she said that whenever she had kids, she was going to tell them everything and she was going to be totally honest with them. And I think that honestly, that is very common. It's very, very common. People in our generation, in the one, like our parents, they didn't hold anything back because the generation before was like so secretive, so quiet, so proper, and it was to a fault. And I think that people are starting to be a lot more open with their children. And I think that it's so important, especially now, when I can go on the internet and I can get you a newspaper article for anything. It doesn't even have to be true. It doesn't even have to be accurate. It doesn't have to be scientific, nothing. You can find information for everything these days. So, like, okay, coffee. You can find articles that say drinking a cup of coffee every day is good for you. You could find articles that say drinking coffee causes heart attacks. You can find an article that says coffee makes you gain weight. You can find an article that says coffee makes you lose weight. The point is, we are so overloaded with information to the point where we don't know anything. We don't have I don't know how to explain it. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying, but like your kids can go out there and find information that is not accurate. And so they could be like me going around thinking that something is true because they read it on the internet or they saw it on YouTube or whatever. Um, so I think now more than ever, it's so important to talk to your children. Um, because you don't know the kind of information that they're getting when they're not in your presence. And so I just make it so that my kids know that they can come and ask me any questions, any questions. I don't care what it is. I will explain it to you. Um, that's seriously super important. Holly says my kids, including my boys, knew what a period was at age 3. I told them the truth because they asked, because we all know kids don't give you your privacy in the bathroom. Facts. Now they didn't get the birds and the bees to talk until 6th grade, but my kids asked questions. I answered them in ways that made sense to them at the age that they were at. Yes, that's super important as well. Um, I don't think that we need to overload kids with information, but you know, there's definitely age appropriate ways to answer all of their questions. But I mean, okay, 6th grade, I bet there are people who are like, that's too early. I promise that's not too early. Um, Ryan was telling me stories about kids in elementary school, like messing around, and that's super scary. So if you think that you don't have to talk to your kids, you probably do. Um, One of my favorites was when I can't remember who, somebody in my life was pregnant, and Easton, my youngest, was like 4 maybe, and he said, "How long until the baby's ready to come out?" And I was like, "Oh, they'll be here in 2 months or whatever." And he said, "So does the knife come yet?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I he was like, "How do babies come out?" And I was like, "How do you think that they come out?" And he goes, "A knife forms in mom's belly, and then the baby takes the knife and cuts out of the mom's belly." And I was like, "Yes." I just said, "Yep." That's it. Um, because at 4, I was not ready for all that. He was convinced, and he even found a little toy that resembled the shape of a knife and was showing me um how the baby would get out of the mom's belly. I don't know, man. I can't make this shit up. I wish that when my boys were little that I would have just walked around with a GoPro all the time because they were so hilarious, some of the shit that they would come up with. It was just amazing. But yeah, that was one of my favorites, and I just did not explain it to him. And honestly, it's never come up since. So, he's 9 going on 10, and maybe he still thinks that that's how babies come out. Maybe I should talk to him about that one. But yes, it is so important to talk to your kids about anything and everything because they do have so much access at their fingertips, and they have so many people telling them the way things are and what's going on and what's right and what's wrong, and it's so overwhelming. I mean, it's overwhelming for adults, and we know better, right? We know what's real and what's not. And it's overwhelming to us to just be constantly bombarded with information and contradictory like experts, and it's just so much for us. Now imagine like not knowing anything, not knowing anything about a subject, and then going to YouTube or to Google or to whatever to look for information on it, and there's just nothing that matches. There's all these different viewpoints and studies and all kinds of stuff, and they don't know what's right and what's wrong, and they don't that's your job. That's your job. Not to be their best friend, not to fight the school when they do something wrong and they get in trouble. Your job is to be there to help them navigate through life and to figure out what's right and what's wrong, and what's true and what's not. Um, so I mean, I am very honest with my children. Very, very, very honest with my children. And I always have been. And there are people who don't like that. They think that it's not a good way to be a parent. But I think that in today's times, I think it's so important to to be honest with them because you don't know what kind of information they're getting. Holly said the bad part is parents don't track their kids on the phones, iPads, and tablets. They just let them free roam. I tell my kids, what you do on these phones comes back to me. Those are my phones and you're just borrowing them. Yeah, that's really good. Um, and because they don't really listen. And you can tell them things till they're blue in the face, but unless you're checking on them, they're gonna do whatever they want. I learned that the hard way. That's a very, very different story for a different time. But I do think it's super important. I do think it's super important to talk to your kids and to be honest with them and to be rational with them is so important. Because if your kids come to you and they ask a question, say they come to you and they say, what is the N word? And they say it. And you're like, you don't want to like scream at them and be like, why would you say that? You can't say that. You blah, blah, blah. Okay, okay. Then the next time that they have a question, they're going to think twice before coming to you. So 99% of the time when my kids come up to me and they say, what is blah, 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 whatever it is, my first question is always, where did you hear that? Because I think that's important. That does put things into context a lot of times. But it's super important the way that you react to them asking questions. Because if you're freaking out when they ask a question, they don't know what that word is because you haven't told them yet. They just know that they heard some kid on Xbox saying it. And so they are coming to you and asking you. And then you're freaking out and screaming at them. Don't say that word. It's bad, blah, blah, blah. Explain why it's bad to them. Explain, where it comes from, why they shouldn't say it, whatever. And just calmly tell them that it's not an appropriate word. That's not a word that we say, whatever. Because if they don't feel comfortable, if you scare them, they're not going to ask you questions again. And the next question might be something that's dangerous. You know, um, what is this drug? Because my friend asked me to do it with them. So you could be missing out on bigger things if you're like constantly dismissing them. Um, sorry, Holly. Holly said, I also teach them that life is not fair. Things don't come easy to you. You have to work for things. All these kids that get trophies just for playing a sport or whatever. Yeah. Um, I we have like life lessons all the time. My kids probably hate it. But we had met this woman in Walmart. It was just me and my youngest. And um this woman just kept complaining. You know the type. You know the type. The it must be nice people. You know them. She just like everything I said, she scanned my groceries and she said, "Oh, what is this?" And I said, "Oh, it's really good, whatever." I don't even remember what it was. You should try it sometime. And she was like, "Oh, I wish I could afford it, but they cut my food stamps." And I'm like, "Okay, that sucks." Obviously I'm not like mean about it, like, "Oh, sucks to be you." And I did feel bad. But then there was like four more instances where it was like, I was even telling her about the Amish stores because I don't listen, if you guys are struggling with groceries, please look into it. They have amazing deals on stuff. You can get like boxes of like rice-a-roni or hamburger helper or whatever, like 10 for $1. So you could go there and spend $20 to $50 and get like a couple months worth of stuff. Another topic. If you have any questions about that, just message me or something. But So I'm telling this woman about these places, and she's just making excuse after excuse as to why she can't go. And when we left there, I was talking to Easton and I said, I hope that when you grow up, you don't do that. And I hope that you don't sit there and make excuse after excuse after excuse. Somebody is trying to help you. No, I wasn't giving her money. No, I wasn't giving her food, but I was trying to give her advice. I was trying to give her solutions. And she just brushed them off like, okay, so what's your solution? And like, are you just planning to sit there and bitch about it until it gets better? It's not going to get better if you're not trying to do something. And so that was like a life lesson for Easton that day, because you can't just do that. You can't just sit there and make excuses and whine about things. Like, yes, things suck. And I tell my kids that all the time. When we were doing the virtual learning at home, we would literally every single day after the school day was over, we would sit there and we would say, "Oh my God, that was terrible. I hate this so much. I don't ever want to do this again. This is the dumbest thing we've ever done." We would have a little complaining session, and we would do it every day, sometimes a few times a day. But I'm also teaching them, you know, yes, be sad about it, be mad about it, whatever, but then fix it, because you're not always going to like the things that happen in your life. But sitting there and crying about it or being angry about it or making excuses or the woe is me bullshit, it doesn't solve anything. And if people spent half as much time working on solutions as they did bitching about things, everybody would be much better off. And I am not saying that there are not people who are absolutely stuck in situations, but I feel like people are so quick to make excuses as to why they can't do things. I can't do that because I can't do that because, like, okay, how about trying it? Not just like saying, oh, that's probably not going to work. Just try it. At least if you try it and it doesn't work out, then and you can move on to the next thing instead of just sitting there trying zero things, right? Hey, John. It does make people stay away from you, Holly. Because when I am around people like that, it's so frustrating because I just want to scream at them and be like, "Hello, have you done this?" Like that lady at Walmart. I gave her like 4 different solutions. I was telling her like, "You could do this, you could do this, you can do this," and she just wanted to keep going. "Oh no, that I can't." You can. You can. Um the things that she was saying, like, she was like, "Oh, well, I don't have a car." And then she's like, "Well, I do have a car, but it's just not comfortable to drive in it for too long." And I'm like, "It's 20 minutes. And also, like, take a break." Because if I was to the point where this woman was saying that she was at, where she didn't have food and she wasn't going to, she didn't have food stamps, she didn't have money, whatever. If I was to that point, I don't care if I have to walk to the store. If it means going to that store is going to get me food that I need, then I'm going to do it. I don't know. Everybody wants to make excuses for things. Don't make excuses. Just do it. John, John needs a punching bag in one of those rage rooms where you go in there and you smash things with a baseball bat. Um, John's on hour 32 of quitting cigarettes, everybody. Yeah, you will feel like you want to destroy things. Um, but I'm super proud of you because that's awesome. And that's a huge way to, oh my gosh, I think there's a bug in my nose. Um, I think that's a huge way to save money too, because cigarettes are another thing that's just gone out of control with the cost. Um, so start a tally, John, of how much money you're saving Um, hour 32, you probably would have bought 2 packs already. Jeez, oh man. $15 a day. See? That's crazy. What's the math on that shit? That's a lot of money every month and every year. You should take $15 a day and put it in a savings or a piggy bank or something and then go on vacation. 450 a month. Oh my god, dude. I was going to say that's like my electric bill, but it's not anymore. It's not. My electric bill is more than that. Um Holly's proud of you. And you're returning to boxing next week. That's awesome. I'm sure your lungs will appreciate you not smoking when you go back to boxing because that's a good workout. That's a good workout. And you're probably going to be able to breathe a lot better. Um that's super awesome, John. I'm proud of you. Keep it up. He said, "Oh, I'm still going to keel over." It's it, listen, if people think that boxing is not a workout, just go try it for 10 minutes. Even if you just go to like an arcade where they have one of those machines where you could do the speed bags or whatever, go there for 10 minutes. You can't even handle it. it's, it's so much work, but it is a really good way to get rid of stress. A punching bag is phenomenal for that. Just hang a heavy bag in your garage. It's perfect. It's a stress reliever and it's a good workout. It's good cardio. Um, he said it's the hardest workout, but you feel great after. Yeah, I can I can appreciate that. Um, sorry, John, that you just joined at 9 o'clock. And I hope that you had fun on the Cryptic Paranormal show last week. Sorry I missed it. I was on vacation and I was telling them I'm trying to be more present when I'm with people. Because it's bad enough that I have to be on my phone all the time for work. So I look like I'm just ignoring people and being rude. So I didn't want to do the show from the lake house and I apologize, but I knew you guys could handle it and I knew it would be amazing. But yeah, I'm gonna get off of here. And I am gonna work on something for next week, but I don't want to say it out loud because in case I don't get it done, then I don't want you guys to be disappointed. But um yeah, I will see you guys next week. And as always, if you have any questions, you need anything, message the page, message my Facebook page, whatever you need. Um, I don't ever want you guys to feel like we can't talk about something. So if you want to talk about something, just get it in the not in the comments, in my messages, and I will not tell anyone that it's from you. I don't even read my husband. You know how that rule works. Normally it's like, don't tell anyone, but you're going to tell your husband or your wife. I don't even read the messages to the Facebook page to him. He knows nothing about it. I've talked about many topics that you guys don't even know came from one of you. So if you have something you want to talk about, something that's been bothering you, something that you think needs more attention, message the page and I will get it on the show. And I hope that you guys have a super amazing week. And thank you so much for joining me. And I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.